Hello and welcome to another Modern Deck Tech here on Cheap SMTG. Today we're presenting a new brew that a gentleman in our LGS has been playing for a few weeks now. It's a very interesting deck. It's a aggressive tribal themed deck which certainly caught my eye. If you are interested in the deck, there are two deck lists posted in the description. One for the full deck list that we're presenting here, and one with some more budget alternatives. There are a few expensive cards in this deck list. So if you are looking to play it on a slightly more restricted budget, we have thought of that. So here we go. We're playing mono black zombies in Modern. When I've played against the deck, it certainly felt a lot like Merfolk, just black rather than blue, and maybe a little bit more aggressive. The aggression comes from a plethora of 1-drops. It plays 4 copies of Cryptbreaker, 4 copies of Gravecrawler, 4 copies of Dread Wanderer. Notably, Dread Wanderer and Gravecrawler are aggressive 1-drops that can be returned from the graveyard, which gives the deck some reach, but also a nice aggressive start. Cryptbreaker's proved it's a very valuable card in Standard, just being able to draw more cards, create zombies for a go-wide strategy. It's almost like a mini Planeswalker. It's a very good card. And possibly the best card in the deck is Relentless Dead. It may sound odd, a 2/2 for 2, but again, it has reach. It's very difficult to block, very difficult to kill. It allows you to return other zombies from your graveyard, and obviously has a lot of synergies in a dedicated zombie deck. I mentioned the similarities with Merfolk. This is because we also have access to a lot of zombie lords. We play 4 copies of Death Baron, 4 copies of Lord of the Accursed, 2 copies of Cemetery Reaper. The numbers are largely interchangeable, so if you have 4 Cemetery Reapers, for example, you can play 4 Cemetery Reapers and less Death Barons. Just, I think personally, Death Touch is the most useful here, and the ability to give your zombies Menace the second most useful, so that's why I've gone for these numbers. But they all do the same main thing, which is give all your zombies +1/+1, is the main reason they are here. So we play 26 creatures, which is maybe a little light for the kind of deck we're playing. This is because, being a black deck, we have access to such good disruption. So we play 2 copies of Thoughtseize and 2 copies of Inquisition of Kozilek as ways to attack our opponent's hands. Now the split here will be slightly meta-dependent. In a vacuum, I go for 2 Thoughtseize and 2 Inquisition. If you know you're going to be facing a lot of Ad Nauseam, for example, you might want more Thoughtseize. If you think you're going to be playing a lot more Burn, you're going to want more Inquisition, so you can tailor that for your meta. For our removal suite, we play 4 copies of Fatal Push. Obviously, Fatal Push is a great card in Modern. It destroys the real annoying creatures of the format, these being mainly Tarmogoyf and Death Shadow. We also play 2 copies of Dark Salvation. We're expecting to have a fair amount of zombies on the battlefield. So Dark Salvation can be as flexible as a 1-mana kill spell, but it can also be like a 5-mana you get 2 zombies and a kill spell. Being both a token producer and a kill spell is very valuable in this deck, so that's why we're going to play at least 2 of them. And as I mentioned, another similarity with Merfolk, with an aggressive creature deck, we're going to play 4 copies of Aetherval. Aetherval is a very expensive card, but it works very nicely in these decks. It means we can get our creatures into play at instant speed. Also means you can play a lower land count, and just, ambushing your opponent with a Lord is a very strong effect, and something we're very interested in. As we only go up to 3 drops, and we are playing 4 Aethervals, we're only going to play 20 lands. We play 2 copies of Cavern of Souls, just as a backup plan against any sort of control deck. If it means they can't counter our spells, that's very nice. 4 copies of Mutavault, as you'd expect in any sort of tribal deck with Lords. Very, very nice land to have. And the rest are just 12 swamps. On to the sideboard, just a few ideas here for cards you may want to consider. Graveyard Hate is going to be important, so something like Leyline of the Void is going to be good. Dredge and Living End are both important decks in the Modern metagame right now, so you do need some way to deal with those. If you're looking for a cheaper alternative, you can also use Relic of Progenitus. I wouldn't play a black deck without playing Surgical Extraction. To be honest, I wouldn't play most Modern decks without playing Surgical Extraction these days. Just if you have a way to disrupt a combo deck from going off, you can then take it all out. We have hand disruption, so Surgical is a very useful tool against combo decks in the format. We'd also sideboard some copies of Ghost Quarter. Ghost Quarter is useful against Tron, pretty much only Tron. There are other matchups where Ghost Quarter is not horrendous to have. but we need some way to attack lands. And we could play Fulminator Mage in this slot, but I think I prefer Ghost Quarter because it works well with other cards in our sideboard. This other card being Grey Merchant of Asphodel. This is nice in games where you don't think you're going to quite be able to be aggressive enough to take your opponent down that fast. You can use Grey Merchant to win the game through the Devotion Swing. You may also want to consider something like Plague Belcher. Plague Belcher is nice because it gives you an opportunity to get a big creature out on turn 3. It also means that when a zombie you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life. The secondary ability can be useful against burn, but I think it's more the opportunity for you to get a 3-mana 5/4 menace. And I mean, you're basically sacrificing something like a Gravecrawler to do this, but given you can cast Gravecrawler from your graveyard, you're reasonably happy with that. Giraffe's Messenger is another option. Works very nicely with Grey Merchant of Asphodel due to the high devotion and Undying, so it's a nice resilient threat. And finally, I'd always recommend packing more hand disruption in your sideboard. And usually I'd go for Thoughtseize here, but you may also want to consider Inquisition again. Just nice to have the extra weapons if you're facing a combo deck, or even if you're facing just a grindy deck like Jund. If you can disrupt their hands, then you're going to be in a much better situation. So that's the deck tech. Tell us what you think. Let us know in the comments below. If you do like the deck, then give it a thumbs up. Your support means a lot. If you do take this deck for a spin at your local F&M or on Magic Online, let us know how you get on. Let us know any suggestions you'd make to improve the deck, and I hope you have fun playing it. Remember also to subscribe to the channel, and there will be more Magic related content. There is a modern GP coming up, which team are preparing hard for, so there'll be more modern content in the coming months. I hope to see you next time.